Really high performance project teams tend to have certain characteristics that they share, regardless of who they are and the field that they work in. There are 6 high performance project teams called great groups that we examined when writing this, and we looked for the common denominator between them. These teams had one thing in common. In one way or another, they changed the world by the work they did. So these teams were uh, Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center Labs pioneers. These are the guys that developed the graphical user interface. The Manhattan Project that developed nuclear weapons for the Americans during the Second World War. The 1992 Clinton campaign, which defeated George Bush Sr. for president. Also, Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, who produced some of the most innovative aircraft around. And Disney's animation studios, who set the standard for animation techniques. So looking at these teams to encapsulate the characteristics of successful teamwork, we could sum it up by saying all great teams and all great organizations are built around a shared vision, a dream, which provides powerful, motivating purpose. So we can break down these findings into 10 principles. Firstly, at the heart of every great group is a shared dream. They're convinced that they're engaged in really important work, something so important that it really must be done at all costs. It becomes an obsession, a quest that goes well beyond mere employment. Secondly, conflict is constructively managed by submerging individual egos for the greater good. There's inevitable conflict between team members on teams, and this is managed by reminding them that there is an overarching performance to be done here. The mission is what matters. Thirdly, team members are insulated from bureaucracy. Great groups have a disdain, really, for their corporate overlords who are perceived as functionaries and bean counters with little imagination and who mustn't be allowed to interfere with the real work. The important task of insulating the team is performed by the leader. Not necessarily the same person who defines the galvanizing dream, but certainly somebody who does the protecting against outside influence. Then there is the perception of a real or perceived enemy. The presence of an enemy who must be defeated is a powerful motivator and a unifier of effort. This is seen very clearly on the Manhattan Project, where there was a very real threat in the form of the Japanese and the Nazis, who were believed to be developing their own nuclear weapons. Indeed, most organizations have an explicit objective to overcome their competitors. Next, we have great groups regarding themselves as having underdog status. High-performance teams seem to be often made up by unconventional people, so-called mavericks, people at the edges of their disciplines. And they're there because they've self-marginalized themselves most of the time because they're unwilling to subscribe to mainstream values. And so they get pushed to the margins. And therefore, they're seen to be in the underdog position, and it becomes easier for the team to rise up and successfully complete something if they see themselves as having underdog status. Next, we have team members often paying a high personal price. Now, membership in high-performance teams seems to exact a pretty high price, sometimes at least, because the work is not just a day job, 9 to 5, but it's also a night job often. It's kind of 24/7. It's not uncommon for divorces and affairs and other extreme emotional issues to be coming about in those situations. It doesn't always have to be that way. These days, many organizations have mechanisms in place to establish good work-life balance, but it is certainly a potential. Great groups produce strong leaders. That's the next principle. While group leaders tend to be non-hierarchical, they're open and they're egalitarian in the way that they deal with people, they nonetheless display a real kind of strength. There can't be a great group without a great leader, and vice versa. Next, we have great groups being the product of meticulous recruiting. Selecting the right people for any project means being very clear about what's needed, how to recognize it in potential team members, and the will to actually look long enough and hard enough for the right people. Once you have them, you can give them the resources they need, leave them alone to get the job done, give them the authority to make the decisions they need, and they will get the job done. Next, we have great groups usually being young. Youth provides the physical stamina demanded by high-performance groups. The average age of physicists at Los Alamos for the Manhattan Project was around 25. Great groups are also young in spirit. Importantly, though, because they are young and naive, group members don't always know what's supposed to be impossible, so they can achieve things that other people might not even attempt. I would also add that you don't necessarily have to be young to be part of a great group. As long as you can be older, as long as you are open-minded and adaptable and not too wedded or attached to established ways of doing things, then you can be a member of a great team. And finally, successful groups deliver the goods. They deliver results, not excuses. Most people think that if things come along and get in the way of fulfilling an objective, then that's okay, they've got an excuse. But great groups will not allow excuses to get in the way of the fulfillment of whatever objective. So those are the characteristics of high-performance teams. In the next and final section, we'll look at characteristics of low-performance teams.